What's up, YouTube? Capital here. So guys, today we are going to talk about Destiny Heroes. This is one of the decks that when the Forbidden Unlimited list was first shown, I think a lot of people were completely 50-50 split. You had a lot of people who were really excited for the deck. They think that, it has like tier 1 potential. And then you have a lot of people who instantly say, the deck it's past its prime. It's not competitive. The game has changed so much. And honestly, I think that a lot of those things are true, but I still think that this deck has a place in the competitive meta. I think that the deck can be really good if constructed properly. One problem I have is people seem to be so far stuck in the past that it's basically blocking us from moving forward. For the life of me, I don't understand it, and I don't understand why, but people are still to this day completely enamored with Teledad. They see 3 teleport, they see 3 D-draw, and they think, let's play Teledad. And I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you, but even if you're building a deck with 3 D-draws and 3 teleport, it's a far cry from what Teledad was. It's a farce. You're basically tricking yourself into believing that you're playing the same thing, but we both know that you're not. There is no crush card. There's only 2 malicious. There's only 1 dark arm. There's, not 3 allure. There's no oppression. There's no trap dust shoot. A lot of those really powerful cards that Teledad can open with and just basically have auto game, those cards don't exist anymore. There's no more Goyo Guardian. All those key pieces that made Teledad so successful are just completely gone, or they're not as relevant to the game as they were before. I look at a deck like Dp-Ygo, and I think I can't even respect this deck because it doesn't even look good on paper. I see the plays that the deck can make, and I honestly ask myself the same question every time I see a Dp-Ygo deck list. What are you trying to achieve? Like, what is the peak situation? Like, what is the ideal board that you're trying to create? And I always come across unimpressed. I mean, if the absolute best play that you can do is, a Photon Bouncer plus an Exit Beetle, I'm sorry, I'm not spending 5 cards doing that. I'm not going to play through these clunky hands that don't work with each other if that is the peak of what I can achieve. I mean, the means don't justify the end in that case. I look at that deck and I think, you don't have a lot of back row removal. Have fun when you overextend half your hand and fall into a Torrential, or you fall into a Mirror Force. Like, Destiny Heroes is a lot like E-Heroes. The deck works best when you don't exhaust all your resources to fall into spell or traps, because that Dp-Ygo has no way to fight back against spell or traps. There's no Laggia. The deck has magic, or the deck has monster effect negation. I'll give it that, but it has absolutely no back row control, and that's a fucking problem. All right, so let's go and stop trying to reinvent the wheel, and let's talk about the best way, in my personal opinion, to run Destiny Heroes. And you know what? The funny thing is, the blueprint has been there probably for 2 years. We can't use the same exact blueprint that Elemental Heroes use because Destiny Heroes can't be as anti-meta. They don't have enough standalone strong anti-meta monsters. They can use skill drain. We're not going to talk about that in this video. But at their core, instead of wasting all your resources to make boss monsters, what the deck still has at its disposal is this card and this card. Ab-Zero and Miracle Fusion should be the core of this deck's win condition. People don't realize, and I don't understand why they ever swayed away from Miracle Fusion. The card is basically like having extra copies of Monster Reborn. It's not a balanced card at all. The fact that Konami basically danced around the problem of Miracle Fusion, not saying it's a real problem, the card's broken, but the fact that they danced around the broken card, it's definitely good for Destiny Heroes. And one thing that people don't realize about Ab-Zero is Ab-Zero, unlike the other heroes, Ab-Zero just has 1 hero card. You can make Ab-Zero using Destiny Heroes. You don't need an E-Hero. That's another thing where I look at Ab-Zero and I'm just like, why aren't you like any of the other cards? So let's talk about cards that I like in this deck. You guys know, because if you watch my other discussion, I am really, really high on Mystic Tomato this format. Destiny Hero Doomlord is a card I really like in this format, mainly because of Mystic Tomato. Alright, I'll just spell it out. Destiny Heroes are not really a deck. They're more like an engine. I believe that the only time you should really want to summon a Destiny Hero is if your back is against the wall and you absolutely have to. What Doomlord does is Doomlord gets rid of potential threats your opponent has. Like, ideally, a lot of the plays set up perfectly with Mystic Tomato to where your opponent has a Laggia, they attack, okay? Get Doomlord, banish the Laggia. I mean, it doesn't remove the problem permanently, but now, okay, I can activate my Miracle Fusion without having to worry about Laggia negating it. And when Laggia comes back, he now has a card on the board that's bigger than him. It puts the Laggia player or the Dino Rabbit player in a really tight spot. I look at cards like Diamond Dude that don't really facilitate anything in the deck. Basically, when you summon Diamond Dude, you're basically saying, I'm looking for an opportunity to potentially go plus if I hit a Heavy Storm or a Dark Hole or something, but it always comes at the same cost. Basically having my Diamond Dude get run over, because a lot of these Destiny Hero variants, they don't run a lot of back row. I mean, if you summon Diamond Dude, you're basically saying, well, it's going to die. Like, I think that the Destiny Heroes that should be running this deck are not going to, you're not looking to summon them. You're basically looking for them to do two things. Just speed up your deck, basically just facilitate Destiny Draw's existence in this deck, which just lets you cycle through, and then fuel plays with Miracle Fusion. That's it. Like, that's all the D Heroes are in here for. They're not here to do the heavy lifting. The heavy lifting in this deck is going to be done by three things. Number one, Absolute Zero. Number two, Caius plays. And number three, occasional Synchro plays. All right, let's talk about more tech cards that I like. Because we're running Absolute Zero, we want to have very solid water monsters. Snowman Eater, I could spend an hour talking about how fantastic this card is. This is going to be, and you know what? This deck, the way that I'm going to construct it, is going to have outs to turn one Thunder King. Tomato's a good one. Snowman Eater is a good one. You guys know that. Deep Sea Diva, a card that I still like to this day. You guys know the plays that you can do with Malicious, especially if you get Malicious off of Tomato. But even the non-synchro based plays, which would simply give you a Summon Diva, have a Gotchi. You know, Gotchi is still really, really amazing. It's still a really good card. I mean, again, I've told you in the past, outside of Black Corn and Chaos Sorcerer and BLS, there aren't a ton of ways to instantly get rid of Gotchi. And can you imagine having a 29 Ab-Zero? It's definitely a good card. Two more cards that I absolutely love in this deck. Return from the Different Dimension. I know a lot of D-Hero players have a tendency to run absolutely no traps or, you know, just decrees, very minimal traps. I will never understand why people stop playing this card, Return. It's a game-stealing card. It gives you wins that you shouldn't have. If you look at an 8-round regional, you know, this card can steal you 2 wins that you shouldn't have got. You know, you remove that Malicious. The cards that you're going to remove for Miracle Fusion. I mean, it's really not hard to get cards banished in this deck. You know what I mean? When you're playing 3 Miracle Fusion, when you're playing Malicious, activate Return. It allows you to get more synchro plays. I mean, you can banish your own Ab-Zero to summon another Ab-Zero. How ridiculous is that? Spirit Water Art, another card I like. We're going to play 3 Divas. We're going to play multiple Snowman Eaters, maybe 2, 3. You're going to play Ab-Zeros. Okay, your Ab-Zero attacked into a Mirror Force. Your opponent uses Mind Control or something on it. Flip over that Spirit Art. I mean, it's confiscation level type power. You know what I mean? Ab-Zero should be the heart and soul. And the thing is, the reason I like Ab-Zero and the reason I think it is a legitimate win condition is because it punishes your opponent for destroying it. You run into a Mirror Force, your opponent gets punished. Your opponent pops it with, you know, a Hornet, they get punished. Your opponent uses BLS to remove it, they get punished. And, you know, your opponent even gets punished, or Ab-Zero even punishes cards that, you know, the Shining, as great as he is, doesn't. Cards like Soul Taker, Bottomless, Evac Device, D-Prison. We all know D-Prison is alive, and it's going to see a lot of play this format because Insectors are not a deck. I don't want to hear about how Insectors are still good. They are not. You know, all of these cards, your opponent uses these on your Ab-Zero, and, I mean, he's going to Regeki their field. These are cards I'm not crazy about in this deck at all. I've already briefly spoken about Diamond Dude. Teleport and Plague Spreader. I think that these cards are they're flat out outdated. Synchroing should not be the backbone. It should not be the structure of a D-Hero deck. This isn't Teledad, people. If you want to play like the Stardust game, I can understand and I can respect, but I'm not sure how viable that type of win condition is in a 2012 meta where we're basically living in an XC world. I think that the game is still a little too fast for that. Another reason why I'm not so high on cards like Plague Spreader and Krebons is people tend to forget during Teledad, these cards facilitated level 6 plays. Level 6 plays are not nearly what they are now to, you know, when you directly compare them to Teledad. I mean, you're talking Brio, you're talking Goyo Guardian. People don't remember how ridiculous Goyo Guardian was when your opponent had a Stratos on the field with a back row. You went Heavy Storm, summon my own Stratos, E-Teleport, make Goyo, attack my opponent's Stratos, steal their Stratos, and search my own monster. I mean, what we're dealing with is completely watered down, and level 6s just are not good at all. But overall, guys, I think that this deck can still be competitive. I like the fact that it runs game-stealing cards. I look at a card like Spirit Art Water, and as long as you play it smart, you know, you play it when your opponent activates Torrential on your Diva, or your opponent attacks with a Thunder King, and then they may be trying, you're playing windups, and they try and mind control your Snowman Eater or something like that. I look at those type of situations where Spirit Water Art can be absolutely game-changing. And I still look at these two cards, and I say, this can be the backbone of this deck. This can be the reason this deck is good. I look at Miracle Fusion as not a balanced card, as a broken card, literally screaming at the top of its lungs, please abuse me, I'm not balanced. I am basically free copies of Monster Reborn. Every time you activate this card, you're going to have a 2500 monster who's a 25 beats with a built-in Regeki. I mean, you're going to have in other situations, maybe you have a Veiler, you can make the Shining, or you can make a Great Tornado. Every time you activate this, you're going to have a 25 to 3200 beat on the field. That's amazing. And I look at Ab Zero, and I think you're the backbone. You're the structure that's going to make the building stand. Every time somebody, every time you're summoned to the field, you're putting pressure on your opponent to where, at the absolute very least, you're going to be a 1-for-1. In many cases, you're going to be a +1 or so on and so forth. But I look at that card and I still think it's amazing to this day. So let me know what you guys think about Destiny Heroes. Hopefully, maybe if we get, let's say, 150 likes, I will show you guys my build and I will go into a further tutorial. Thank you guys for watching as always.